Yes, this is not clickbait, the title is true. Matt has left the studio. Now this isn't like a big surprise or anything, it was always the plan, but over the last couple of months, Matt's only been in sort of half and half, so odd days on, odd days off. Now this is because Matt's channel is doing really well and he wants to pursue his own channel more and have more time to do it. So one of the reasons for me asking Matt to come here was so that he could leave his sort of job and then have more time to do his own stuff as well as helping me. Because it's something a lot of people don't experience, but quitting a full-time job that you've been in for a long time and going off to sort of pursue your own thing and become self-employed is very, very scary. So I sort of gave him that security blanket with a consistent pay, but also more time and weekends to himself. Now, as I'm sure a lot of you know, Matt's channel's been doing really, really well, and it's actually more beneficial for him nowadays to stay at home and make videos than come in, have me pay him, and just make more with me. Now, this was always the initial plan. We both didn't think it would happen so quickly, but really, really fantastic news for him that he's able to now do that. You know, I've got nothing but joy and proudness because I was in exactly the same position a good few years ago where I had to take that leap of faith, and it is scary, but to be able to do it comfortably and to be able to fully focus on it, oh, there's no better feeling. Honestly, it's so, so cool. Another thing is, you know that all the work you put in is on you and all the work you don't put in is on you as well. So it can sound very luxurious, but you end up actually working way more when you do stuff for yourself than if you are in a job. Yeah, you have the luxury of being able to go off and do whatever you want at any point, but sometimes that can actually make it a lot harder to be very strict. You have to sort of set your own rules and stick to them, otherwise before you know it, the week's done and you haven't really done a lot. So yeah, wishing Matt all the best of luck in the world, but you know, this isn't it. It'll be just like before when he comes in and does different projects and stuff with me, but for now he's just got to go full force into his own content, and I've got nothing but sort of excitement for him. Like I say, I literally remember it 2 minutes ago like it was the same for me. So yeah, good luck to Matt with that. And like I say, it's been pretty much 2 months now of on off, or sometimes he wouldn't be here for a whole week because he's got his own thing to do as well. So I've kind of got used to it already. You guys wouldn't have seen so much of it, but there's obviously some videos where Matt sort of appears halfway through and isn't there at the end. You know, that's why. But that said, I've still got a big studio here with lots and lots of stuff to maintain. The 8-foot is starting literally after I start this video. I'm actually quite further ahead than when this video is released, so it will be done by the time this comes out, or at least scaped and planted anyway. So you might be thinking, well, then won't the quality of everything come down? Well, no, I've been used to running it now, you know, like I say, for several months, with long periods on my own. I've got completely into the swing of things, so it's not an issue. Plus, Kate has been helping me out. Again, like before when Matt was here, Kate would come in every 3 days in the morning, tidy everything up. I've also been teaching her a lot more now. She's getting good at a lot of things, and I finally got her to be able to put her hands in the tank and not be scared of the fish, apart from the bigger ones. The Akara, she's still a bit scared to put her hands in for that one. Yeah, so the Electric Blues and the Royal Akara, they have a really, really good feeding response, and she doesn't really like that when you come up close to the tank, they come near the surface. Like that, so she won't go into that tank at all, but she's fine with the smaller fish. Also is a bit freaked out by the puffers as well. I mean, they need feeding mealworms and there's absolutely no way she's touching those. Yeah, she won't even come near this section. So yeah, how do you go about maintaining 35 tanks? I just had a count up. I've got 36, I've got a bowl as well. 36 tanks on your own with occasional help from your wife as well, which does actually play a big role. Kate's very good at doing all of the little things, allow me to concentrate on the more sort of bigger things. So it's a little bit like when you come in, where do you even start? What do you look at first? Well, I always just do a sort of little walk around. I take a look at all the tanks. Like on this one, I'm spotting a little bit of algae on the glass. The water's a bit tinted, so you could probably do with a water change, but not essential because it doesn't necessarily mean that's detrimental to the fish at all. It's just more of an aesthetic thing. Again, I'm looking over here at the angelfish tank. I can see it needs a good trim up, and it needs some of the floating plants removed because they're blocking out a lot of light. And what that will mean is that eventually the plants will start to suffer. So you've got to get on top of both those things now. That'll probably be first job, I reckon. I should also note that as I'm looking at each tank, I'm also looking at the fish, looking for health, looking for any problems, looking for any potential deaths, because when you've got this many fish, there's always a possibility of 1 or 2 over the course of a week or something like that, just for things that are out of your control. It's exactly the same in a fish shop. They do regularly have to look around for the odd one that's sort of not made it. And that's just a case of keeping fish. You are just going to get the odd one that you've got no reason for it to have died and all the rest of them healthy. Sometimes it can happen. Like, I wouldn't say it's a common thing, but it is something that you come to sort of expect every sort of month or so the odd one that's just sort of, it could be old age to be honest. It's, you know, when we've got this many fish, like all of the tanks have got like a bunch of fish in. By law of averages, I mean, it's gonna sometimes happen. And then after I've gone around and checked all of the tanks and worked out sort of process, I don't sort of do everything. I find a few jobs and just get going. I just straight away fill up the water butt. Actually, most of the time I do this the day before at the end of the day, so that by the morning it's all exactly the same temperature as the tanks, because this room is the right temperature, which makes the water the right temperature as well. So first job, I plug in the hose to the tap, put it on full, and every time I do that, I pray that I've left this off, not on. I wheel this one over, and then place it into the water butt, and then turn it on. Now it's a little bit fiddly, sorry about the noise, it's a little bit fiddly at the moment over there because the water butt only just fits underneath, but that whole section's changing. There's going to be a load of tanks there soon, and what I'm going to be doing is moving these tanks all up closer together so that here the water butt can sit right there, right next to the tap, easy access, and it will just be a lot better. Oh, and because I've got both taps on, the water temperature is actually almost perfect from the tap anyway. It's just like there'll be like chlorine and stuff like that in it, so I have to detoxify the water. So for that, I just stick in a whole capful of Aqua Essential, and that just sorts the lot. Right, the water butt is full. I like to do that first of all, just so if there's any top-ups needed, there's water available. Now it's time to tackle the angelfish tank. No sort of strategy. The first thing I will do though is remove a load of the floating plants, just so we can see more of what we're doing, where to replant, where the darker spots are, and that sort of thing. So I didn't remove all of the floating plants. You've got to leave a few there because they'll repopulate again, which is actually really good for the tank. Now you might notice that some, like aquascapers or like the top end, the showrooms and things like that, they trim their plants like right down to pretty much nothing and then let it regrow again. It's not really something that I like doing. I like to go for more of a natural look. That's why I only cut off a lot of the ones in the foreground that are coming up quite high. I even leave some of the ones in the background that are still high because I just think it's a nice backdrop. So I like to go for more of a sort of, I don't want to say natural, but more realistic, if you know what I mean, because plants are never going to be all growing at the same heights, and I just like that sort of more rough look. And it also means that it looks good for longer, I think, as well. Because when you just mow everything down, it just looks flat and rubbish, and then it grows up again, and then it looks great, and you've got to mow it all down again. So I just find that this is like the best way of keeping it looking decent all the time. I just like the look. It's a personal thing. I like it looking more natural. Sorry, realistic. Well, I've misted up the water slightly just by cleaning everything. I also cleaned out the pre-filter as well, so it was a little bit gungy, and let's put a little bit of misting in, a little bit of detritus pumped in the water, but it's still looking really good. You can see what I mean. I just sort of trim that middle section. There's a lot of nice plants at the back still. There's more room for the angelfish as well. These angelfish are getting to a very good size now, and the good thing is all the extra fish that we put in, all the tetras, they've done absolutely fantastic. No deaths at all. We were a little bit worried because when I put these angels in with the emperor tetras, all of them died off overnight. So we knew that these ones would be all right because they were with them before. So it was obviously some kind of bacteria that the emperors weren't used to. And yeah, that's just one of those things. That was horrendous, that was. But yeah, you can see now some of the plants are a little bit ropey. They're not great. I've added some leaf stone for fertilizer as well. They're going to get a lot more light and they're going to grow quick again, and they're going to bounce back a lot nicer. But yeah, really happy with how it's actually turned out. I love the like overhang at the top as well of all of Allison area. It's a really nice tank, a real natural, rough jungle style I'd call it. And there is some hardscape in there as well somewhere. So that's a tank that did need some work. There's lots and lots of tanks all around there that don't need anything, well, hardly anything done to them. And this tank here with the Malawi cichlids is one of them. All it needs is a little water top up, but it's doing so good. We set this up about 3 weeks ago. I've had to do nothing since we started it. And that is basically all down to the fact that the lighting is just perfect. Now, I wouldn't use these lights if I wanted to grow a ton of plants. They will grow some, don't get me wrong, like anubias and low light stuff. But for a tank that's being used to grow up the fish by feeding heavy, this setup with no plants works so well, and I actually really enjoy it because of the different colorations in it. Rather than it just being a couple of the same rocks, I just think it works really well. Yeah, you can just see here, look, see how much it's evaporated. Not too much. I've done a couple of top-ups actually. That's probably about a week's worth of water being lost. So yeah, not a lot at all, and it's an easy fix. There we go, look, I still keep it below the rim. I always come down about that far. It just massively reduces any chance of any jumpers. Haven't had anything jumping for a long time, and that's because I keep it there. Last time I accidentally forgot and went a little bit higher, and I did get a jumper. So at that height, seems to be all good. But this is a feeding tank, isn't it? So let's give these guys a nice big feed. So I've got some flake for all the sort of upper level swimmers, or mid-level, there we go. Some big fish in here, there's lots of them, so it's a good amount that goes in. Like I say, it's made for growing them out. So I've got quite a few catfish as well, so I put in a few pellets, dot them around. The other fish have a go at those as well, to be honest, so it's all good, it's all nutrients. Now I guess technically it's overfeeding. Oh, look at the catfish right at the top. It's gone upside down, they don't often do that. Nice. Yeah, so some people would probably class that as overfeeding because there's a lot in there, but we're trying to grow them out, so I just give them extra. Yeah, they'll poop more, but as I say, there's no algae in the tank and the water quality is absolutely perfect. So for me, yeah, I think it's just spot on. And they're definitely growing as well. Look at the ball eye at the back. Whoa, fast, super fast. There's quite a bit of sparring going on as well now. There's one male that's changing colour to his adult male colours like midway through, and is the absolute boss of the tank. Oh, another nice little update to fill you in on as well is this tank here, the shell dwellers tank. It's again another one I've had to do nothing with. We did get a big diatom outbreak, but I put in one little, not a baby, but like a adolescent bristlenose pleco, and it's getting through everything. I only put it in there like yesterday. It was way more brown than it is now, and it's doing a great job. Yeah, the shellies have completely revamped all the sand. They've moved all of the shells exactly where they want them. The ones that were originally in their shells when I first put them in have remained in the same shells. Like this one was in here. There's another one that goes in that one as well, but also into the gap underneath the rock. And then as you can see there, there's a group in there as well. They don't often come out either, only when it's like feeding time. With regard to the plants on the top, you can see that the peace lilies are absolutely booming. That's a brand new flower there. Looks so good. And then the tester that we did of the knot ficus, I can't remember exactly what it's called, is very rigid and growing rapidly as well. So that's worked beautifully. Didn't know if that would work, but it did. And we made sure we only put in the roots in the water, as you can see there. I need to top up the water a little bit because we come down slightly. But that's working. Just those tiny little roots there, providing all of the nutrients that's needed to the tree at the top. So yeah, it's a good experiment. Good to know another plant that works, just growing out the top of the water. And I don't know about you, but I absolutely love having plants coming out the top of my tanks. I think I'm pretty much at some point just going to get them in every single tank. I mean, if you want to have just the look in the water without the plants on the top, you just don't film the top part. But as a spectacle and as I'm walking around, it looks so much better when it's just like a green forest on top of the tanks. It just adds a whole new element to the entire space. Oh, and speaking of topping up tanks, look at this one. It's right down there. I literally filled this up like not long ago at all. It grows so fast, and we've got this massive mother piece coming off of it. And that wasn't evaporation either. There's still shrimp in there, by the way. I just saw them move around when I filled it up, but that is not evaporation. There's not any heat sort of in this area, even though there's the window behind it. It's just the water being used so fast by the plant growing. Echinodorus, amazing. So that is great, and I want to show you another tank now behind me, the red angelfish tank. I want to show you how well that's doing. Again, it's another one that I don't have to do anything to. I love those kind of tanks, to be honest. They just look after themselves. I mean, just look at this. Look at that lotus down the bottom there, the tiger lotus. It's really, really taken off. I recently took out more of the floating plants to put them in another tank, and that has really opened everything up. Now, red plants, something that people struggle with. Now, I recently did an Instagram post which made this quite apparent. Everyone is thinking that the CO2 that I had in the tank, I'll show you the tank in a minute, but they're thinking the CO2 is the thing that gives the plants the redness. It really isn't. This tank has no CO2 on it at all, and it is so red. So what's the key? The key is the lighting. It's literally down to the lighting. The more powerful the lighting, the more reds you'll get, the more redness of the red. The more on the red side of the spectrum that lighting is, so it comes with like your Chihiros, twin stars, those kind of lights. It goes even more red, like proper vibrant. Now that isn't just the plant itself, that's also the light reflecting on the leaves, which makes it go like even more vibrant. So yeah, if we take the Ludwigias at the top here, we've got some Palustrius super red, and we've got some Grandulos as well, which is that one there, which is starting to poke out of the water. So yeah, these particular plants are already red, but they look even more red under that light. But if I put them in another tank, which I had to take some trimmings because it was getting ridiculous. I put them over in the end of the tank and they're not as red. So yeah, this is the end of the tank, which I've just set up. There's a little bit of tinge going on from the bogwood, but these plants down here are the ones that I took out of that tank. And although they look great, they don't look as vibrant under the more sort of normal lighting, I'd say. This is 6,500 Kelvin, so it's just like middle of the day sunshine. So yeah, it looks more sort of yellowy and orange tones under this light, but it's the same plant. It's not changed in any way. But under the Chihiros, which as you can see here, this is the Chihiros. Don't know if it's going to pick it out, but you can see there's a lot more reddy tones to the LEDs in the reflection. So yeah, I found the main consideration is the lighting choice. Chihiros is more powerful, so you get that high intensity, but also it's customizable, so you can change the spectrum to whatever suits the style of tank that you're looking for. Exactly the same with this tank here. So look how beautiful and red everything is. The CO system's basically running out. I'm probably not going to redo it, to be honest, because it's grown in, it's as much and as dense as I want it to be. But the lighting on this is the twin star, and I don't know if it's coming out on camera, but there's more of a purpley sort of reddy hue to the light. Like, you can't customize it, but that is what it is. And I know that it grows plants, red plants, particularly very well. So that's exactly what we're seeing here. If I put a different light over the top of this tank, it'd still look red, don't get me wrong, but it wouldn't be as vibrant. So lighting is massively important when it comes to getting red plants. The most important thing, I would say. The CO2 is helping the plant density. And allowing it to grow super fast. It also makes running a tank from the start a lot easier, I find, as well, because the plants are growing so fast. You get far less of a battle with algae. You get some diatoms maybe, something like that to start with, but that goes away very quickly. It's easy to clean, so that doesn't bother me at all. But yeah, the CO2 that was in this tank is not what caused it to be red. It would still be red without it just as red. There just wouldn't be as many plants and as thickness in density like the planting. It was all done from the cups of easy grow plants from Aquafleur, and it's just done that so fast. A couple of months, I say. It's not like crazy fast, but still, you know, a whole tank full of red plants in 2 months is pretty good, considering that they were that big. And I have to tell you, the Mbuna tank is thriving at the moment. Not the plants, I mean, they're just doing their own thing. They're never going to thrive in a sort of lower light environment, and they're just Anubias and BUSINESS really. But they're growing, they're doing fine. I wouldn't say thriving. The fish though, the fish really are thriving, putting on some really good size. Yeah, just take a look. There's one particular orange male, I think it's that one there in the middle, this one here. He is a beast. Before, it was only the whites that were much larger than the rest. The whites have sort of slowed down in size, except for that one there is a pretty good size. But these orange ones are just growing so fast. Most aggression as well. It's controlled aggression. I wouldn't say it's anything to worry about. Hardly any fins are nipped. I did see a little bit on one of the whites, but that's probably because there's two sort of males going at it for a territorial dispute. Oh, look at this. Look at this here. Anubias just sprouted a flower up. That's nice, isn't it? But given the size that these guys are putting on, it might be time to switch things up at some point soon. I mean, more rock work, if you like, more areas, more territory. There is quite a lot, but there could be more. See those two down there? They're doing some sort of either spawning or fighting. Again, that's normal. It's completely normal to see it. But I'd say, given the size of them, it's 2 males probably. Although that one, it's quite hard to tell with the albinos, but yeah, that's got to be 2 males. This one's got the spot that goes on his anal fin. If you want to turn around, he doesn't want to turn around. No, I'm not turning around for you. There we go.
on the anal fin, there's that spot which apparently the bigger they are and the more prominent that is, the more chance there is it's going to be a male. So this is his area, I guess, and there's a little bit of a dispute was going on there between this one, who also likes it, unless that's his home or setting up a little thing there. I don't know. Oh, there we go. Cynodontis catfish as well. A rare appearance. They obviously think there's something going on. There's going to be some food coming out, I guess. Again, this is another grow out tank though, like the Malawi cichlids we've got over in the other one. So I have been feeding it heavier than I usually would for sort of grown up tetras, say, or that kind of thing. So you might be thinking, well, how is there no algae? Well, when you look at the lighting levels in this compared to, say, a planted tank, it is far less. There is some algae, of course. There's some on the leaves, just a little bit of green spot algae, but that's not something I worry about at all. The new leaves don't, because obviously they've just come out. And I don't really get any sort of algae on the glass in this one either. So it's all coming down to the lighting levels. I just found that this was the sweet spot. It means that you get some new growth on the Anubias. Even down here, look, you can see there's enough light down there for Anubias to grow leaves. You barely need any, so there's no point just hammering a load of light in here. I found the right balance where the fish look really good and vibrant, the plants still grow, but the algae doesn't. And there is also the power head back there, the wave maker / power head. That is just pushing a lot of material that would collect on this bottom section, pushing it all the way around to the back end of the tank where the inlet is. So there's not many points here where like detritus or food waste can collect. Plus we've got the Cynodontis catfish, which go around sort of scavenging anything that is left behind in any of the nooks and crannies. So there's not much waste just sitting anywhere, to be honest. It's a really well-balanced tank, but it has taught me an absolute ton about keeping the cichlids, and it makes me way more confident I can set up even better for them next time. They're about half this size when we put them all in, so I think it's getting to that point. So there we go, look, a nice little update of the situation, a little bit of maintenance and showing you around some of the tanks and how they're doing. Let me know if you've enjoyed this type of episode. I actually really like making them because it's nice and fast paced, and I'm checking over things and having a look, so I enjoy it. This is done now. I better get started on the 8 foot. I've already filmed, by the way, an update for the saltwater tank, so that is coming next. And then there should be some 8 foot content, fingers crossed, providing everything goes right. I haven't even test filled the tank yet. That's the first job I need to do. Fill the whole thing up, make sure there's no leaks. There shouldn't be. I mean, ND Aquatics just know what they're doing, and there's tons of silicone, so we should be good. But yeah, it'd be a disaster to like spend ages scaping the whole tank, then fill it up and there's a leak. So yeah, I will definitely, for the first time ever, be leak testing a tank.